Hi everyone, in case you don't know, my name's Cameron, and I'm the creator of BOS. So why haven't you heard anything from me? Well, it may be pretty obvious because of the silence, but BOS wasn't able to be released in October. I have some very good news in this video, but let me start with the bad. Me and my team had many setbacks since the release of my last update video. I moved, a manager at my job quit, and I took over part of her role, and we've lost a couple team members' free times completely due to their work schedules. Another setback we had was a team member's mom going to the hospital. Please send your prayers. We've also had to sacrifice the AI project for BOS. While progress was being made, and in fact, I had implemented the learning algorithm of AlphaZero just fine, it would be a multi-month project to implement all of the intricate interactions into a computer simulation. While it's easy for us, having a computer follow the rules of BOS is pretty difficult. I may revisit this one day, but it's not on the table right now. The final, and I think the biggest reason why the game isn't coming out now, is because me and the team agree that there's more that can be done for the game. Let me show you what I mean. While every card in the game is balanced at this current moment, we felt as though some cards just weren't fun enough to play with, either for the player or for the opponent. Let's take a look at a card that has had many iterations over the years. This is Addition. This is a classic blue spell that has been in the game ever since the game was called Loop. Let's not talk about that. Its purpose is to accelerate Blue's Vim game, to give Blue a unique identity. At first, you could play 4 copies of this card on the first turn to bring yourself up to 6 Vim right at the beginning of the game. This meant that you could play huge spells at the cost of removing some spells from your spellbook. Out of the maximum of 10 spells, you played 4 Addition. Then the game shifted to BOS, and it was far too good. We reduced its power, and again, until eventually we decided to get rid of it. Then a couple of years later, we were having problems with Blue's identity. If it's supposed to be a spell deck, how can we make that show itself in the game? So I brought it back. Eventually, we had to reduce its power again and again. Recently, we stopped on this version. The game's competitive mechanics are complete, and included in those rules is the rule that you can play up to 3 copies of a spell in your deck, which has changed since Loop, when you could play 4 copies of a spell. So this version of Addition has some interesting qualities because it requires you to send an extra copy of it from your spellbook to your graveyard. Meaning if you play 3 of them, the 3rd cannot be cast. You would need to play a card in your deck that can bring spells back. Hey, why do these cards keep showing up in these videos? Like I said before, the cards right now are balanced. But let's face it, this version of Addition is boring, and every blue deck is required to play it. If you don't play it, you get far less Vim than you would if you do play it. And all of the blue spells are balanced around the blue player starting the game with 3 Vim rather than 2. So how do we change Addition to make it more interesting, while keeping the same reward? I asked my team this, and we came up with this idea. This new Addition is amazingly fun. Depending on what you want to do, you can play up to 3 copies of it in your deck, but playing more creates more risk for you. What's the risk reward? That's a fantastic question that a blue player would love to answer when they're building their deck. You'd still normally want to play 1 copy of Addition, but in our testing, we found some matchups that make it extremely difficult for blue if they play Addition on the first turn. Losing life in those matchups makes them much harder, so the risk reward changes dramatically. This is our goal, to make some of the cards more interesting for the first release of the game. This may result in total reworks of ideas, which may result in more balance testing being needed, but that's a risk I'm willing to take if the reward is having cards that are fascinating to play, like Addition in the game. All of this to say, I am sorry for the delay in the release. But to keep you up to date, let me share some of the other progress we've made during this time. I said this before, but we finished up the competitive mechanics for the game. When we did, we introduced a new system that removes any advantage a player gets by going first or second in a matchup. How? Let me show you. Before each game begins, players greet each other, reveal the colors of their soul, then play a bidding game. Both players privately pick a number that is 0 or higher. Then both players reveal their numbers at the same time. The player with the higher number chooses who goes first, and the player with the lower number gets bonus mana equal to their number. This bonus mana is called Ether. This system might confuse you at first, but I promise it's really simple. You might have some questions like, why can't I just bid 1,000,000 every time and always go first? Well, you can, but the question is, how much is your opponent bidding? If you bid 1,000,000, your opponent could get up to 999,999 Ether. Sure, you get to go first, but on the next turn, your opponent can unload their spellbook and wipe the floor with you. So you're going to want to bid lower to avoid that risk. If you want to see its details, you can check out the rulebook after the stream. Hopefully, your mind is already racing about ways to abuse this system, or maybe you already understand how it works and why it balances everything out. That's for you to discover when you play BOS competitively. We finished balance testing the starter decks. At this point, the only thing we're waiting on for them are a couple pieces of artwork and a printing trial run. They're incredibly balanced and very intricate decks. The card interactions are really exciting in them. It's cool that the team has found a way to make even the most basic battles feel complex with these decks. As a reminder, if you'd like to play BOS now, you can use the Play tab on the website to download a print and play starter deck. Also, we have some more artwork progress. Right now the focus is on the BOS artwork, so I'll show you these 3 pieces. This is a sketch of Arcblood Champion's poster artwork, a new yellow boss called Chaos Prominence, and a new blue boss called Starlight Swordsman. These 3 characters are extremely important for the lore of the game, which has also made tremendous progress. I don't want to share too much just yet, but if you're into a good story, just wait for this one. The final big update is that we finished the script for the Kickstarter video. The current plan is to release the Kickstarter as soon as possible, to start generating interest in the game from new people, and that will be how we kickstart BOS's release. Well, that's all I have for you this month. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm in a new home with new responsibility. Hey, wait a second. Do you see that? I must be going crazy here, but oh my gosh. No. Wait. This can't be. No way. Wait. Does this BOS TCG.com? What? That's right, the website is now online. No more View Legacy Site button clicks. You can now enjoy the fresh website in all of its glory. I'll leave it to you to explore, but it has the core features on it already. Of course, we'll be adding in new features over time, starting with revamping the card list and starter guide. By the way, fun fact, you can scroll to the bottom of the page and see some very special artwork. Refresh the page to get a different one randomly rolled each time. Now that's all I have for you this month. Thank you all for your patience, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless.